Your dog is sitting in the middle of the room barking at the wall. You got up, checked, empty wall, nothing. She barks again. You say, "Calm down, there's nothing there." She doesn't calm down. You think, what's wrong with her? Maybe she's overstimulated. Maybe she dreamed something. Maybe she just decided to practice her voice at 1 a.m. Nothing is wrong with her. The problem is something else. The problem is that you're standing in this room and are literally incapable of perceiving what she's perceiving right now. Not because you're inattentive, because you have the wrong equipment. And when you find out what equipment she has, you'll never again say she's barking for no reason. Not once. Because there's always a reason. It's just located beyond what you're able to feel. 1. She lives in a sonic reality you don't have access to. Let's start with the most obvious and most underestimated fact about dogs. The human hearing range is from 20 to 20,000 hertz. That's fine. It's enough to hear conversations, music, thunder, an approaching car. You think you hear everything important. You're not hearing roughly half of what's happening around you at any given moment. A dog's hearing range is from 40 to 65,000 hertz. The upper limit is more than 3 times yours. And this isn't just, she hears a little further. This is a completely different universe of sounds that exists right here, right now, in the same room you're sitting in. And you've been excluded from it since birth. A mouse in the wall. Not a hypothetical mouse, a real mouse that right now is moving behind the drywall 1.5 meters from your couch, making sounds at a frequency of 40,000 hertz. And for you, this is absolute silence. For her, it's a clear, loud, specific sound of a living creature that is moving. A pipe in the wall. Metal expanding from a temperature change when the heating turns on creates a micro vibration at a frequency you don't perceive. She hears this as a new sound that wasn't there an hour ago. Something changed. Something needs to be checked. Neighbors upstairs, not footsteps. You'd hear footsteps. A conversation in a low voice through 2 floors of concrete at a frequency your ears filter as background noise. For her, these are people's voices. Specific, recognizable, familiar or unfamiliar. And her brain processes this as information requiring a response. That's why she barks at the wall at 2 a.m. while you lie there thinking she's lost her mind. She is the only one in this apartment who knows what's happening. You're not crazy. She's not crazy. You simply live in fundamentally different acoustic worlds, and neither of you is at fault for not understanding the other's world. 2. Her paws are a seismograph you don't have. This is something almost nobody talks about, even people who know a lot about dogs. The pads of a dog's paws contain an enormous number of nerve endings that pick up vibration through the floor's surface with a precision unavailable to humans. She literally stands on the ground differently than you. She feels it. A car turning onto your street 2 blocks away, she knows about this before you hear the engine. Footsteps in the building, not on your floor, 2 floors below. She feels them through vibration in the floor several seconds before the elevator starts moving. Thunder. You hear it when it's already here. She feels atmospheric pressure and ground vibration several minutes before the first sound reaches your ears. That's exactly why dogs start to get anxious before a storm. Not during, not after, but before. Long before you notice that the sky has darkened. And now, the most important part. There are hundreds of documented cases of dogs beginning to show anxiety 15 to 20 minutes before an earthquake. Researchers from the Japanese Institute of Geophysics spent 3 years recording the behavior of pets in seismically active zones. The result was unambiguous. Dogs demonstrated abnormal anxiety, refusal of food, and continuous barking on average 15 minutes before instruments recorded the start of seismic tremors. Not because they have a sixth sense, not because they predict the future, because the earth begins vibrating at a micro level long before the wave becomes noticeable to a human, and they stand on that earth with their paws. They feel it first. Always. When your dog suddenly jumps up and starts barking in complete silence, and a minute later the phone rings or someone buzzes the intercom, she didn't guess. She knew a minute before you did. You just had no way to verify it. 3. She reads people through the chemistry of their bodies. A dog's olfactory system is 10,000 times more sensitive than a human's. This isn't a pretty metaphor. It's a measured difference in the number of olfactory receptors. Humans have about 6 million receptors in the nasal cavity. A German Shepherd has 225 million, a bloodhound up to 300 million. The part of a dog's brain that processes smells is proportionally 40 times larger than the equivalent part of the human brain. What this means in practice: you walk into a room and smell coffee. She smells the coffee, the specific variety of the bean, the roast level, the water it was brewed with, and the hands of the person who held the cup, including what that person ate 2 hours ago, what soap they used that morning, and the fact that their cortisol is currently slightly elevated. This is not an exaggeration. Dogs trained for medical detection identify lung cancer from a patient's breath with 97% accuracy. Not 70, not 85. 97%, more accurate than most laboratory tests. Applied to your everyday life, this means the following. When your dog barks at a stranger, you consider completely normal. She's running a real-time chemical analysis. She's reading the adrenaline level in his sweat. She's reading cortisol, the stress hormone, which is released when a person is nervous, afraid, or deliberately controlling their behavior. She's reading micro changes in skin odor that occur with strong emotions. She's not seeing an aura. She's not reading minds. She simply has access to biochemical information about that person that you don't have. And sometimes that information tells her something is off. She's not always right. Sometimes the person is just nervous because they're afraid of dogs, but she's responding to data, always to data, never just because. 4. Barking is work, and she's doing it for you. Here's what happens in her head when she barks at a passerby outside the window. Thousands of years of coevolution with humans have created a creature for whom guarding the pack isn't just an instinct. It's the meaning of existence, its identity. It's why she's here. When she sees a stranger on your territory and barks, she's simultaneously doing 3 things. First, she's informing the stranger that the territory is occupied and guarded. Second, she's warning you about the presence of a potential threat. Third, she's demonstrating to the stranger that there's something standing between him and you. This isn't neurosis. This is work, thoughtful, functional, thousands of years refined security system. And now, the most important thing for understanding why she doesn't stop when you tell her to be quiet. When the passerby leaves, she's convinced it was her barking that drove him away. The cause and effect relationship in her head is absolutely ironclad. I barked. The threat left. Every time, without exceptions. In her entire life, this system has never failed once. Every person she's ever barked at left. 100% effectiveness. You come over and tell her to be quiet, and she doesn't understand why you're stopping a system that works perfectly. She's protecting you. She's doing it well. She doesn't understand your dissatisfaction. 5. Anxious barking isn't a whim. It's a cry for help. There's a difference between barking that means a threat outside and barking that means something inside. The second type is the hardest to talk about because it requires from you not just understanding what she hears, but understanding what she feels. Dogs can't speak. They have no words for anxiety, no words for loneliness, no words for that feeling when the door closed and it's unclear when it will open. The only loud instrument she has is her voice, and she uses it. Research conducted at the Konrad Lorenz Institute of Ethology in Vienna recorded cortisol levels in dogs left home alone. The results were unambiguous. 30 minutes after the owner left, cortisol significantly elevated. An hour later, at a level that in a human would correspond to a state of acute anxiety. Some dogs barked, some were silent, but the stress level was the same in both cases. Those who barked weren't more anxious. They simply expressed it. Those who were silent carried it inside. And here's the detail that changes everything. Researchers from the University of Arizona studied dogs living with owners diagnosed with PTSD. They discovered the following. Dogs began demonstrating symptoms of anxiety disorder, heightened vigilance, sleep disturbances, excessive barking, before the owner consciously noticed that their own condition had worsened. The dog was reading stress from their owner's body through scent and micro vibrations before the owner themselves felt it. She wasn't barking because she was suffering. She was barking because he was suffering. and she knew it before he did. When your dog barks while you're not home and the neighbors complain, she's not trying to annoy you. She's trying to find you. In the only language she has, this isn't manipulation. This isn't being spoiled. This is the physiological stress response of a creature built to live in a pack that has been left alone. 6. She barks differently. And this is a language you already partially know. This is something almost never talked about, and it's the most practically important thing in this entire video. Barking is not one sound. It's a language with several registers, each of which means a specific thing. High, frequent barking with short pauses, excitement or greeting. This is exactly how she greets you when you come home from work or reacts to the arrival of a loved one. Low, abrupt, single bark. Warning. She's registered a potential threat and is reporting it. Wait for more. A series of low barks without pauses. Active threat. She's not just warning. She's demanding attention right now. A prolonged howl between barks. Loneliness and a call. She's calling out. She's looking for a response. One sharp, short bark. Fright. A sudden sound or movement she didn't expect. Quiet, whimpering between barks. Anxiety mixed with confusion. She's uncertain what's happening, and that itself frightens her more than a concrete threat. Researchers from Budapest University played people recordings of dogs barking in different contexts and asked them to identify what each sound meant. People who had lived with dogs identified the registers correctly 72% of the time. People who had never lived with dogs, 56%. The difference isn't enormous, but it's there, and it means one specific thing. You already understand her language. Nobody ever just told you that what you're doing is called understanding a language. 7. When she barks, she's waiting for an answer from you. This is the last and most important thing. A dog that barks at something and gets no reaction from you doesn't calm down. She barks louder, not because she wants to irritate you, because in her understanding, you either didn't hear or didn't understand the importance. She repeats the message at higher volume. This is absolutely logical from her point of view. When you walk over to her, get down to her level, look where she's looking, and say calmly, "I see it, I checked, everything's okay." She understands the message was received, even if you found nothing there, even if she continues to hear what you can't hear. The fact that you reacted is itself a response. The pack responded to the threat. The leader checked. The threat was assessed. Anxiety can be reduced. That's exactly why ignoring barking almost always intensifies it, and a calm response almost always reduces it. Not because you distracted her, because you answered her message, and she got what she wanted from the start, not silence. Confirmation that you're here and you hear her. Now you know. Next time she barks at an empty wall in the middle of the night, don't shout at her. Come over, look where she's looking. Listen, maybe you'll hear something too now that you know what to look for. Tell her calmly that you checked. She's not barking because she's lost her mind, not because she wants to wake you up, not because she has nothing to do. She's barking because she hears a world you can't hear, stands on ground you can't feel, reads people through chemistry you can't see, and the only thing she has to tell you all of this is her voice. She uses it. Every time. For you. Always for you. Write in the comments, does your dog bark at something you can't see? Just yes or no. And subscribe. Every video here reveals what your dog has been trying to tell you all along.